Hello, I am Jamie Buckland with the West Virginia Few Families United for Nation. I'm checking to be sure you guys can hear me. Let's see if this works. We'll go ahead and leave that there. If somebody would be so kind, make sure it is streaming. There we go. Hello, I am Jamie Buckland having technical difficulties, but I think I have figured it out. So we should be good to go at this point. I'm going to close this off to try to preserve the internets. See if we can do that. Okay, perfect. Happy Friday. Great. You can hear me. All good. I have several moving parts here, and we're going to try to do this without unnecessarily confusing you and creating more chaos than is necessary. Thanks so much for tuning in. I do just want to remind everyone that this specific tutorial, I'm going to try my best to honor your time and keep it brief. And because I'm going to do that, I do want you to keep in mind that it is specific to the application process. I'm not going to go over eligibility at length. I'm not going to go over usage, like what you do and how you can use it once you have it. If you're interested in those types of tutorials, happy to schedule them and make time for that. But we want to keep this specific and on point for applying and submitting your notice of intent, specifically on that process, because it is a two-part process. If you didn't register for the event and you do not have the tips for navigating the Hope Scholarship, that is the document that I am going to be going through throughout this tutorial. And so you may want to complete the form that I just dropped a link to in the comments so that will get sent directly to you for you to download. Again, it is the top tips for navigating the Hope Scholarship Program. I'm going to be walking through that right now, sharing my screen. And so if you do not have it, you'll want to click over and complete that form real quick so it can be sent directly to you. So there's that out of the way. And next up, okay, so for any of you that are currently saying, well, I don't know if my child is eligible, I'm curious if they are eligible, dropping a link to the blog post about eligibility into the comments. That's going to take care of that. If you have questions on that, as always, you can reach out to Jamie at wbfue.org. If you have specific questions, just keep in mind I'm terrible at social media. So you better tag me, message me, and get connected to me. And I'm going to constantly direct you to my inbox to help you out. Okay, so there are all of the housekeeping issues. The first thing that I want to do is get you familiar with who you will be working with when you apply for Hope Scholarship and you submit your notice of intent. So I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to go over kind of the people that are working in the implementation of the Hope Scholarship. Now, this is an informal interpretation of the role of all of the players for the ESA, and this matters when you go to apply and submit your notice of intent. You'll see that the governing authority is the Hope Scholarship Board. All right, then we have the Treasurer's Office. We have the Program Manager, which is currently Step Up for Students, and we have the Department of Education. You are going to interact with all of these different agencies or divisions throughout the application process if you come upon any issues. Way over here where it says grassroots is where I live. So I just want to be very clear. I don't work for the Treasurer's Office. I'm not a part of the official administration of the Hope Scholarship Program. I don't have any authority granted to me to answer on behalf of the Hope Scholarship Board or any of these agencies. I am simply a mom with a lot of experience and the founder and executive director of the West Virginia FEW. And so I operate over here in that grassroots side, and we would put this under the topic of navigation. I'm helping you navigate the official process of applying for the Hope Scholarship and submitting your notice of intent. But just keep in mind at the treasurer's office, if you have questions, you're going to reach out to the amazing Amy Constable, the family coordinator. If you're a provider watching this, Christian White is the coordinator for providers. If you have had the pleasure of working with the executive director, Michelle Peñalosa, or Amy Willard, the Deputy Treasurer Savings Programs. They're doing an amazing job at the Treasurer's Office, and they're focused on rules. So if you have a question about compliance, knowing for sure what you're required to do and what you can do, they also keep track of all of the reporting, any legal concerns, and preventing fraud. So you can reach out to the Treasurer's Office for those questions. If you're curious if you are eligible, I also recommend working directly with the treasurer's office or reaching out to me, and I can help direct the traffic on that. Then they have the program manager, which is currently Step Up for Students. They have a platform called the Education Market Assistant, the EMA platform, and that's where you're going to create an account and log in order to apply for the Hope Scholarship Program. I just made myself go out of the camera shot. Okay. So you'll apply on the EMA platform. That's where you're going to create an account for that part of the process for the application. And they help onboard providers. They serve as the digital wallet, so you actually can spend your money through that platform. And then they also help with some customer service surrounding that process. So if it's a tech issue on the platform, you're going to work with Step Up for Students. Their information is on the official website and also in the top tips that I put together for you. And then the Department of Education also has a role, and then they support the county boards of education. The county boards matter to us throughout this process because that is who is going to be receiving your notice of intent. And so you are required to submit a notice of intent. It's a two-part process. In order to participate in the Hope Scholarship Program, you both need to be awarded, meaning that you were eligible, you applied, and you were awarded the scholarship for your child, and you need to submit a notice of intent. There are apparently hundreds of you who applied for the Hope Scholarship, you were awarded, and you've been able to use that money and you never submitted your notice of intent. Please reach out to either us or to the treasurer's office so that we can help you get your notice of intent submitted, because it is a two-part process, and I want to do due diligence to help the treasurer's office ensure that we get your notices of intent submitted. You do just do that one time unless something changes, you move, or you go from using a school to using the individualized instructional program or vice versa. But your county board is who receives that information. They're also who confirms the eligibility, ensuring that you've either been enrolled the previous year public school, or you were at least enrolled and participating for 45 consecutive calendar days and are still attending at the time of application and remain attending until you are awarded the scholarship. They also help with non-public school compliance. Those are all of the agencies, organizations, entities that are responsible for helping you in an official capacity. I want to make that very clear. They are the ones that have the official role in implementation and administration of the program. Again, I live over here on the grassroots side with the West Virginia FEW, Families United for Education. We do outreach. That's why you see my face all the time. We help you navigate, and that's what this tutorial is. So I wanted to share that because I need you to understand who you're working with. And when I say you're going to go to your county board, you're going to go to the program manager, Step Up for Students, you're going to apply on that platform, or I want you to reach out to the treasurer's office. All of those different capacities is what you need to understand to ensure that you're talking to the right person. So let's dig in. Hopefully you have already downloaded your top tips, and we are going to go through that now. So let me close this out. Also, I'm going to drop another link here specifically for kindergarteners. So if you're focused on the application process for kindergarteners, this blog post can help you as well. Pause for a brief moment while my screen shares. All good things. Here we go. Okay. So here we have our the Hope Scholarship tips for navigating the Hope Scholarship. So this is what you can get through that link if you download it. And this is going to take you through the process of the top tips for navigating this entire process. So number one is to determine your eligibility. Again, we're not going to go over that. You're going to need to choose a pathway for usage. We are going to talk about that because you need that information when you go to submit your notice of intent. So there are two pathways that you can choose from when it comes to the Hope Scholarship Program. There is not an option to homeschool under Hope Scholarship. This is incredibly important. I know it looks an awful lot like homeschooling. I know it is easier to tell people, yes, we homeschool, rather than to go into a full explanation. But anytime you're working in the official capacity of applying or working with the government agency, working with your county board, it is very important that you call it what it actually is. And that means your child is participating in the Individualized Instructional Program, the IIP. This includes micro schools, and it also includes the children who are being educated at home outside of a full-time enrolled school. And so if you're not going to enroll your child full-time and in school, with the exception of micro schools, then you're going to put school on your notice of intent. If you are enrolling your child in the individualized instructional program, meaning you're educating them at home or enrolling them in a micro school, you're going to put IIP. The next step is to gather your documentation. There is a checklist that is linked here in the top tips, and it will walk you through. It's from the treasurer's office, and it will walk you through what you need in order to be ready for the application process. This is the birth certificate, and it's not the one that is issued by the hospital. It needs to be the formal one issued by, your county courthouse or what have you. So you need to ensure that you have a birth certificate. And keep in mind, you're going to be uploading these inside the application process. So inside that portal. So it needs to be a digital copy. If you have a printed birth certificate, you can take a picture of that. You're going to be able to upload that. If you are looking at your other proofs of residency, we're going to go over that. Again, if you have a physical copy, you're going to take a picture of that to upload it. And a lot of people have a hard time with this step because it can be intimidating if you're not very tech friendly. And as we've already experienced, I'm not very tech friendly. But if you have any issues with this, you can reach out to the treasurer's office for assistance. You can also reach out to us. The treasurer's office is super busy, but I'm more than happy to help you navigate how to get that in a digital format on the device that you need, that you're using to apply, whether you're applying on your phone, on a tablet, or using a desktop or laptop. The proof of residency sometimes confuses people because there are a list of single item documentation that you could use. So my favorite to tell people is, hopefully you are registered to vote. And so you have a voter's registration card. That should be easy peasy. It has your address on there to serve as your proof of residence in the name of the account holder for the student. And so if you've got that, you can use that. You can use an insurance document for your house insurance. The list is on that checklist. But if you use utility bills, you do need two of them. So it's only one of those other proofs of residence. And if you do if you want to use utility bills, it's two of those. So again, it's either one of everything else or two utility bills in order to have your proofs of residence. You also need to be sure that you're using the grade level for the 24-25 academic year, next year that you're applying for. There is one well, I won't get into that. That's going to get confusing. But if you are applying after February 29th, we still have a little over a week here or so, where some of you who have been qualifying for the Hope Scholarship, meaning you enrolled your student into a public option, they've been satisfying their 45 consecutive calendar days. And if they hit that 45th day prior to February 29th, then you're going to be able to submit an application for this current 23-24 academic year. So keep in mind about that window of time. However, unless you're under that situation, you're looking forward to the 24-25 academic year for eligibility. Now, here is where it starts to get tricky. Up until this point, it makes a whole lot of sense. But at this point, it does start to get tricky. You need to find or request your child's WEVIS, the West Virginia Education Information System number. If your child has been enrolled in the public system, whether for Head Start or preschool or for kindergarten through 11th grade, they already have this number. You may find it on a report card or lunch information. You can also call the county board to have them give it to you. Now, this is if your child has already been involved in some shape, form, or fashion in the public school system. Sometimes private schools receive what's the official word for it? They receive reimbursement. I don't know what it's actually called for transportation. And in that case, that child will have a WEVIS number. So if you're uncertain if your child has a WEVIS number, reach out to your county board. If your child is an upcoming kindergartner they have never been enrolled in any of the above, then you will request this number with your notice of intent. So now is where we're going to go into two different pathways from this point on. It's like the chicken and the egg. Which goes first? Do you apply online or do you submit a notice of intent? If your child is going into kindergarten and they are 5 by July 1st, and you want to start them into the Hope Scholarship Program this year, keep in mind 5 by July 1st, then they are eligible to apply. If your child has not had a kindergarten year yet, meaning you've not submitted a notice of intent to your county for homeschooling, you have not enrolled them into private school, and so they are ready for their first year in kindergarten, and they are 6 by July 1st, you are eligible to apply. So if they do not already have a notice of intent, they do not already have a WEVIS number, you're going to submit this notice of intent, and that is what is going to generate the creation of the WEVIS number, which you have to have in order to complete the application process on the EMA portal. So if you're uncertain whether you apply first or you use a notice of intent first, it's all dependent on whether or not your student already has a WEVIS number. If they do already have a WEVIS number, you're going to go and apply first, meaning you're going to create an account. You're not going to go to the county first. You're going to go online to the portal first. If your child does not have a WEVIS number, you're going to go to the county first. You're going to submit your notice of intent. So this guide will help you figure out which division you're in, which category you're in, so that you know your next step. All right. So this is the pathway on this page to apply first, meaning you have your WEVIS. You need to have those images for your documentation for proof of residency and your birth certificate. Have those already on the device that you're going to use to apply. You're going to go in and create your EMA account, which I'm going to share my screen and show you where you go here in just a moment. The link is already on this. This window is open March 1st through June 15th for the full amount of funding. It is open after that at prorated amounts. But for March 1st through June 15th, you can apply for the Hope Scholarship and you're going to be awarded the full amount. I've also included a link to the current parent handbook and information for the EMA team if your question is related to the EMA platform. So if it's a tech issue, if you're having trouble logging in, if it's freezing, anything like that that's related to the platform, you're going to reach out to the EMA team. Now, it's important that you complete the entire process. Pay attention to what it's asking for. Make sure that you go over the entire screen. If you're working from a phone or a tablet, sometimes the mobile screens don't show you everything, and you may have to move the screen around to be sure that you've checked all of the boxes and completed the process thoroughly. At the end, it is very important that you sign it, save it, and then submit it. I get a lot of questions because folks sign and then they don't know how to submit it. You have to sign, save, and submit. Then you're going to wait for the awardance notice. So you're going to get an email that says, congratulations, your child has been awarded the Hope Scholarship Program. And after that, you're going to submit your notice of intent. So let's move on to if you don't have that first. If you do not have your WEBIS number and you're going to submit a notice of intent first, I'm going to show you now what that means. So we have a very cool directory on our website. So let me pull that up so that I can show you where you're going to go to get the information that you may need. Keep in mind, we are mostly a volunteer organization, meaning that we don't have sustainable funding. So if you go to our directory and you find that the contact person that we listed is not, you're not hearing back from them or what have you, or you reach out to the county board and then they say, oh, that person is no longer there, then you let me know so that we can update it and we will track down who it is that you need to speak with. So what I want to do is just show you where our directory is. When you go to our website, which is the West Virginia FEW, www.wvfue.org, I'll drop the link to that in the comments. When you go to our website, if you will just go through up here at the top in the menu bar, when you click on the county directory, see all of the counties that come up here, find your county. So I live in Mercer County with the amazing Dr. Vaught, who is our coordinator. Dr. Vaughn. Dr. Vaught is a neurologist. Dr. Ashley Vaughn is the coordinator for the Hope Scholarship and for homeschool. So you can see here the superintendent, Ed Toman, with their information. But then the reality is that the superintendent can delegate, making sure this is sharing, yes. So the superintendent can delegate for someone else to actually be the recipient of this documentation. Now here, a couple of camps will tell you a couple of different things. There are some advocates who say that you should deliver your notice of intent in person to the county board, and you should have whoever takes it sign a receipt that they've received it and that you've handed it over. There are other people who will say you need to take it, you need to mail it certified. So you have that little green card and you can demonstrate that you mailed it certified. I personally do not recommend either of those options, and here's why. I've been working on implementation that surrounds notice of intent for homeschoolers for years. And when I help you navigate sports access or compliance for homeschooling or Hope Scholarship, what is incredibly good for me to have is a digital documentation of what was actually sent. Now, could you take pictures of what you sent when you get those other methods? Sure. But what we highly recommend is to submit it via email. Some of the counties even have an upload. I think Mon County has a way for you to just upload that information or submit it on their platform. My personal preference is to use our directory. That's my official recommendation. Again, I'm not a part of the official team, but to use our directory, identify who is the recipient of that documentation for the notice of intent, and to email it to them. On that email, you attach your notice of intent and you ask them to please respond to you with receipt, meaning acknowledge that they have received that notice of intent. That is incredibly important. And then what you need to do is to be a responsible parent and go into your sent folder, your received folder in your inbox, create a folder specifically for these emails and store them there. So if there is ever any question about when you submitted it or what you submitted, you have a digital record of that. Legal counsel has been very clear that that is acceptable even in court. And so we highly recommend that you rely on emailing. Again, make sure you get a receipt. Do not email it and say, well, Jamie Buckland said for me to email. I'm not saying that. I'm saying email it and then make sure you get a response. And if you don't, reach out to me so that we can follow up and ensure that you get a response that you sent that. All right, so there's the directory. That's how you do that. Next up, we are going to now go over the notice of intent. So I am going to pull up my iPad here. Actually, I have to do this first. I'm going to share my screen again and the entire screen. And then I'm going to actually look on my phone and trust that one of you are going to give me a thumbs up or a comment telling me that you actually see what I'm getting ready to do, because it makes my screen disappear and I need to know that it's actually working. So I'm going to hop over here to Facebook to this live and make sure that you are seeing what you should be seeing. So if one of you kind participants would just comment, I'm not trying to hear myself here. If you would just comment on the live and tell me that you are seeing the notice of intent. And once I am certain that you're seeing it, I will proceed. Because if you're not seeing it, I want to make sure that I get it up. Okay, it looks like it's showing, so I'm good to go. I have confirmed. All right, this is the notice of intent. So of course you're going to complete the date. People are asking, can I go ahead and start submitting this? And I would say that starting next week, I have not heard anything different. I would say that it is safe for you to go ahead, and thank you to everyone who commented. That you could go ahead and begin filling this out and submitting it, so that it's for those of you, again, you're doing this if you don't have your WEVIS. If you already have your WEVIS, you're not doing this, but I would recommend going ahead, because that way they can go ahead and start working on it. Keep in mind that county boards get to do this their own way. This means that some counties delegate this over to the school that your child would attend were they enrolled. And then some actually do it themselves at the county board. So depending on what the process is that they use, that could be different, depending on how they do it. So you're going to fill in the address of the county board. Okay, this is the superintendent's name. This is not the other name that is under Hope Scholarship or Homeschool under our directory. This is the superintendent's name. Again, that's who we're addressing it to, even though we are going to write it out for or send it to the recipient. The school year that this is effective, if you are one of the people doing this by February 29th, and you're going to pull your child and use the Hope Scholarship for this year, all of that, then you need to go ahead and put in this current year. Only if you are applying by February 29th because you are qualifying. Everybody else needs to put in that this is the 2024-2025 academic year, meaning that it's going to go into effect July 1st. And you're going to put in your name. Had I had another child, I would have named her Everly Buckland if she were a girl. And then I'm not sure of a date of birth, but you know your date of birth. Yes, race is required, and people ask about this. This is a program for public funding, and they do need to keep record of all of your child's, necessary information. Now, this is part of the process. I know that can be uncomfortable for some people, but you do need to submit the race here on the notice of intent. And then you also need to include their gender, sex or gender. The grade level for the year noted. Oops, I should fill this out too. 2024, 2025, you're going to put the grade level. So my Everly, let's say she was going into kindergarten and I'm getting her notice of intent, kindergarten. Now, here's what is very important, because this is for those who are triggering the WEVIS number. They don't already have it. You're going to put incoming kindergartner or eligible kindergartner or whatever floats your boat, to note that, hey, I need you to trigger a WEVIS number for me. If you already have, if you're completing this, once you already have your WEVIS number, of course, you're just going to put their WEVIS ID number into this notice of intent. Now, remember when I said you needed to choose a pathway? IIP for micro schools or those educating at home. Okay, you're not homeschooling. Sorry, that makes people angry at me, but it's just the truth. Or if you are enrolling in a non-public school, again, not if it's a micro school, but if you're enrolling in a private school or a public, not a public, a private school, then you're going to just put school right here. Keep in mind that there's a lot of confusion at county boards. Sometimes they're going to say that you need to submit a diploma or your proof of GED or your transcripts or what have you. That's just not true. You actually do not need to submit that. You would then complete your residence, your physical address, the county that you reside in. You would then need to sign, place your name, and sign. Now, people get all up in arms. I've had people say, why do I need to give them my phone number? Why do I need to give them my email address? Because they may need to get a hold of you. And so this is information, this is contact information that you're signing up to participate in this program. And so you want to provide them with your phone number and your email address. Now, again, this is it, right? This is all that you're going to do. Once you've done that, you're going to email that. So whether you're printing this off, completing it, and then taking a picture of it and emailing it, or if you want to take it in person, who am I to tell you that you can't do that? I am no one. So you are able to print it and take it in person or send it certified. That's totally up to you. But if you're going to email it, you'll take a picture of it or save it as a PDF, and then you're going to send it to the appropriate contact from the directory. Once that is submitted, remember you're asking for a request, and then you are, so you're asking for the request and you are saving that in a folder. So you're going to get confirmation. And if you don't hear from someone, you're going to reach out to Jamie at wbfue.org, and we're going to get on it and ensure that they have received it. Now, everyone wants to know, how long should it take for them to get me a WEVIS number? I have a personal opinion on this. I think it shouldn't take them any longer than 2 weeks. In fact, I even recently reached out to some lawmakers, and they reached out to the treasurer's office because I have a concern that some counties are saying, yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. And you can't apply until you have that WEVIS number. And I think a lot of parents are like, I don't want to be a pest. I don't want to bother them. Fortunately for me, my dad says that I've always just had a real gift, like a supernatural gift of being a pest. And so I always tell people it's my gifting to just keep reaching out, right? But the reality is that this is a government program. You are a citizen. If your child is eligible, you are asking for this information. At the same time, county boards are overwhelmed. They have a lot going on. But what we want to be sure of is that it is timely. So if you don't hear anything back after a week, absolutely follow up. If you haven't heard a response saying, I received this, within 2 days, 3 days, absolutely follow up. And I know that that can be annoying, but that's just the name of the game. So we want to be sure that you're reaching out, ensuring that they've received it, and ensuring not just that they received it, but that they are doing what they need to do with it so that you can do what you need to do. Once you have that number, you're going to go in and apply. So let's do that now. This is going to be the last step, and then I'm going to go over and talk about some of the questions that you guys submitted for those of you that filled out the form previously and submitted some questions. I'm going to go over there. So let's go now to share my screen again. The website for Hope Scholarship is hopescholarshipwv.com. I just want to give a shout out to Michelle Peñalosa and her team there at the Treasurer's Office that have made so many updates to the FAQ. I know there are more contributors than just Michelle, but to everybody there at the Treasurer's Office who has worked incredibly hard to ensure that they have this information on the website in a way that you all can consume it. I encourage you to just take some time to surf around this website and get familiar. Here for parents and students, you can see new students, the enrollment checklist that I do link to in your top tips, the notice of intent letter here, the parent handbook, some helpful videos, participating providers, so on and so forth. For us today, we're going to log in. If you are on a mobile device, you're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it's going to show up as an owl at the bottom of the landing page. So if you go onto this website from a phone, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom until you see the owl, okay? Now, once you are here, I'm not going to go through everything, but I do want to show you one thing. You're going to use keep in mind, you want to make sure you keep track of the email that you use. You're going to set up create an account. So see where it says don't have an account. You're going to sign up. You're going to submit your email address. It's going to send you a link to your email. You're going to open that up, or it's going to send a code, and then you're going to be able to go on to the next step. Now, at one point here, it's going to have a drop down that says, are you creating a parent account or a provider account? Make sure you are using a parent account. You want to create a parent account. Once you get in there, you'll be able to follow that process. I feel like it is pretty user-friendly at this point, and for you to see that they're ready to apply. If you have questions, once it comes to this point, you're not contacting the Treasurer's Office. If it is specific to this platform, you are reaching out to EMA. They are the ones that are supposed to be helping you. If you don't get anywhere with them, of course, you can reach out to the Treasurer's Office for further assistance. But this is the website and the way that you're going to log in for that. All right, so at this point, I'm going to hop over to the questions from that were submitted, and then I'll go back through the live questions that have been submitted. Keep in mind that if you already had a WEVIS number and you go in and do this first and you apply first, then once you get that notice that you have been awarded, then you submit the notice of intent. If there have been any questions left unanswered and I don't cover them in the others, please reach out and ask me. That will help us. It'll help to inform our content. And maybe we need to do a series of these tutorials to really ensure that you get the information that you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to go over now to the questions that were submitted previously in the forms. Okay, so somebody is saying I have multiple children. They're going to become eligible at different times. What's up, Elsie? Nope, we're using it. So they're asking, they've got multiple children, they're going to become eligible. These are students who are qualifying for eligibility during this academic year. They're going to become eligible at different times. You will not be able to apply for them. You can apply once the Treasurer's Office says that you can apply. So you're going to, if it's before February 29th, you're going to request they're on their website to apply. And then once they've given you permission for that, then you're going to go in and apply. So the Treasurer's Office will walk you through if you are currently qualifying, and this is after after February 29th. If it's after February 29th, you're going to go in and apply accordingly. Okay, I've dropped a link to our kindergarten blog post, and hopefully this also covered how to apply for kindergartner. Thank you, Megan. When can you submit that notice of intent? Like I said, if you have a child who's going up into kindergarten, you don't already have a WEVIS, I think starting on Monday, there isn't any reason to go ahead or any reason to not go ahead and submit that. I haven't heard any official guidance saying that you can't, and there isn't anything legally saying that you can't. So I would go ahead and submit it. Again, follow up and ensure that they're receiving it and keep me posted. Always, it's so encouraging to hear from you guys that, hey, I watched your tutorial. Just want to let you know that I submitted it. I heard back and the process went smoothly. I love to hear when that happens. All right. Some people asking about the eligibility qualifying your student. There is a tutorial on qualifying your student for eligibility. Keep in mind that once you have qualified and you are you've applied for the Hope Scholarship, they need to stay in until it is awarded. So you can't withdraw them from that public school option until you've been awarded the scholarship. Somebody asking again about that 28th, 29th day. Once they've satisfied the 45 consecutive calendar days, you're going to go to the Treasurer's Office website and fill out that information, and the amazing team at the Treasurer's Office will help you figure out the nuances on when you do what. Some of you have an application on hold. I really can't do anything about that, but I do highly recommend getting in touch with Amy Constable at the Treasurer's Office because she is magical and she can do something about it. You do need to specify if you're using it for private school or for the individualized instructional program. Keep in mind, there is no such thing as homeschooling under the Hope Scholarship. For those of you who are providers and you're helping your parents navigate it, keep in mind that the West Virginia FEW does have a membership. If you are a member school participating in our membership, I deal with all of this. So you just send the parents directly to me and we offer individual guidance. That's something else to note. If you are going to use the scholarship to participate at a school and you run into hiccups and you're not attending a member school, your best bet is the treasurer's office because I'm not able to give individual guidance. You really need to rely on your school and the treasurer's office. If your school is not participating in our membership, again, we don't have any funding. And so we have to charge for our membership in order to keep the lights on and keep this content coming to you. If you are enrolling somewhere that is a member school, then I help you navigate all of these specifics and direct you to the treasurer's office or EMA as needed. If you're using it for the IIP and you don't have a participating school that you're working with, I do offer individual guidance. So you just need to reach out to me if you are using it for IIP. And I do believe there are some questions about curriculum. We're not covering that today. Okay, how do you get your WEVIS if your student is currently earning eligibility? You reach out to the school where they are enrolled and ask for that WEVIS number, and don't wait until your 45th day. Go ahead and get that WEVIS number from them as soon as possible. If you're looking for guidance on qualifying for the Hope Scholarship Program, again, we do have let me see if I can pull this up. And I'll send you a link to, nope, I can't quickly do it, I don't think. I don't think I'm capable of it. I'll go to these questions, and if I can find this link multitasking, then I will give it to you. Let's see. There we go. It pulled up. Okay. There is a link today where, or there is a link that we have from, sorry, I opened my email and saw something that caught my attention. Which one is it? This. Okay. This video goes over qualifying for Hope Scholarship. So I'm going to drop that link in the comments. That is a separate video. Okay, I'm going to look now in the comments here and see if there were any questions that I missed. I think I've answered all of that. Okay, great question. After they meet the 45 days and get awarded, but it's for 24-25, what do you do with the remaining days left? Like if you pull them from the charter school after being awarded, what do you do in between? Do you have to stay in the virtual charter? Great question. So glad you asked it. So once you have been awarded for 24-25, you're talking about the current year of 23-24. And so what do you do for 23-24? You can submit a notice of intent to homeschool. Once you've been awarded, if you want to pull them, but you're not enrolling them into another school option, and they're going to be educated at home, you can submit a traditional homeschool exemption C notice of intent. You can get that, the link to that from CHUV or WBHEA. You can submit a homeschool notice of intent to exempt them from compulsory attendance for the remainder of the 23-24 academic year. And then you would just, towards the end of May or June, submit your notice of intent for the 24-25 academic year. That is the Hope Scholarship notice of intent. Great question on that. All right, I feel like we have taken 45 minutes to go through this. Hopefully your questions have been answered. Hopefully you downloaded those top tips and you know how to get a hold of me if you need anything further. If there's a topic that you want covered, like I said, please reach out and let us know, because we do want to ensure that we're creating content that is relative to you. I am Jamie Buckland with the West Virginia FEW Families United for Education. I work as part of the grassroots, non-official implementation of Hope Scholarship. If you need official guidance, please know that the best resources for that is the Hope Scholarship team at the Treasurer's Office, the Department of Education or County Board of Education, if it's specific to your notice of intent or compliance. And then if it's anything related to the platform, that's going to be Step Up for Students through the EMA, at least until we see if they replace Step Up for Students. My understanding is they have put out an RFP and they could be replacing that program manager before August, before we see the funds dispersed for August. So thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and let me know what you'd like to see next.